Well, thank you everyone for being here. This is a celebration for me because I'm sharing a space with one of the persons that I admire most. So I'm super happy. And a little bit nervous. So I would like to settle down with a way that I use in many of my workshops to settle down. This is listening to a Robert Holden's poem. And I'm super happy that we will hear it directly from him. So, Robert, if you could start with the poem that is called Good News, please.
Rossana, thank you very much. And thank you for inviting me to do this with you. And hello, everybody. It's lovely to be with you. Thank you for being here. This feels like a really special occasion. I feel very blessed to be in your company. And I love that because somebody invented Zoom, we can do this. Whoever they are, I'm very grateful to them that we get to do this. And to be together in this way, it feels really lovely. My heart feels very full. So this is a poem called Bring Love, and it's from a book called Finding Love Everywhere. 67 and a half wisdom poems to help you be the love that you are looking for. And it's the first one in the book. Bring love. Good news. I just got my invite, and I trust you did too. The world is throwing a party again tonight. Planets and stars will hang like bunting from the sea. Bees will bring honey. Cows and goats will bring milk. Flowers will bring perfume, and each worm will bring a doily made of silk. Vegetables and minerals will sit at every table. Grapes will make wine. Whales will recite sonnets from the deep, and dolphins will leap and play and have a great time. The wind and trees will make music. Birds like the lark and the dove will sing. All God's creatures will bring a little something, and humans will bring love. It's called Bring Love.
Thank you, Robert. And yes, from this place of love, we're going to start. For those who don't know who Robert is, I don't think you don't know, because if you know me, you know who he is. But anyway, I have like a official bio of Robert. Dr. Robert Holden is a British psychologist, best-selling author, an international teacher known for his pioneering work on happiness, authenticity, and purpose. He has collaborated with global brands such as Dove on its Real Beauty campaign, and has shared his work on platforms including the Oprah Winfrey Show. Robert is the author, among others, of Happiness Now. These are books. Lovability, Success Intelligence, Higher Purpose, and Finding Love Everywhere. He's co-creator of Everyday Miracles. His work invites us to live and lead from the heart. And I want to share something that happened like 10 years ago. I started following Robert because he was working with the topic of happiness. And I was very immersed in laughter yoga. And when he appeared in the Oprah Winfrey show, if I remember well, there was someone from the laughter yoga world in that same chapter. So someone told me about that, and then I saw this Robert Holden who was talking about happiness. And it got my attention. I bought some of his books, and I think it was Happiness Now that I was reading one day. And I read a sentence that said, "You cannot be happy and inauthentic." And something hit me. I don't believe I understood it in that moment, but it felt that it was true. And I have stayed with that since then, for these 10 years. And without trying to go to my head with that, I just started seeing things about authenticity. Seeing asking myself when I was being authentic, when I was not, with whom, why, how did I feel when I was authentic? How did I feel when I was hiding? And it's a question that has stayed with me all these years. And in this moment, it's what I consider one of the most important things ever. Next week, I will co-host a retreat called Authenticity in Action, because every time I want to see more about a topic, I just throw a workshop or a retreat or something so that I can immerse in that. So I would like to ask you, Robert, if you can expand on what you meant when you wrote, "You cannot be happy and inauthentic."
Thank you, Rossana. Yes, well, I think one way to look at that relationship is to think about what is the purpose of happiness. What we know for sure is that all across the world, when people are asked, what do you most want to experience in life? The number one answer is happiness, across all cultures, everywhere. We also know that when people are asked, what is it you most wish for your loved ones? The number one answer is happiness. Yeah. There are other answers too, but the one that is at the top is happiness. When people are asked, what is it you most wish for your children? It's happiness. Yeah. So happiness is really, really important to us. I think the question is, but why is it so important to us? Happiness is a good feeling, but I think it's more than that. I think the purpose of happiness is that happiness gives us feedback as to when we are being authentic or not. When I'm being true to myself, when I'm listening to my inner voice, when I'm making decisions that are based on my values, when I'm doing something from love, even if it's difficult, I will be happy. And the happiness is my feedback telling me that I am being authentic. So the purpose of happiness on one level is to give us that feedback as to when we are being authentic and when we are really being true to ourselves. Now, it's also true to say that sometimes the purpose of unhappiness is to show us when we're not being authentic. Not in every case, but in some cases, when we make a decision to do something and somehow it just doesn't feel right in our body, our body becomes tense. Yeah, we just feel uncomfortable inside our own skin. We know something's not right. And often that's because we have made a choice that's not an authentic choice. Similarly, we have a feeling inside where we just don't feel happy. We feel concerned, anxious, something's not right. We can't put our finger on it, but we know something's not right. Again, that's feedback. That's telling us that maybe we've made a choice that isn't authentic. So in all of the years that I ran the Happiness Project, which was a project that I ran in the UK, here in England, and I ran it on the National Health Service for a while too here, the work really of the Happiness Project was to help people to recognize that happiness is teaching you how to be authentic. It's your feedback loop. And part of the work with the Happiness Project was helping people to give up the pursuit of happiness. So to give up the chasing after happiness. And rather than chasing after happiness, it is to learn to follow your joy. So in my work, I say there's a world of difference between searching for happiness and following your joy. And actually, when we stop searching for happiness and we bring the love, which is that poem, bring the love rather than searching for the love. Similarly, instead of searching for happiness, you follow your joy, you follow the thing you love to do. That, I think, is one of the great secrets to being genuinely happy, but also living an authentic life.
Yeah, thank you. In this past month, with my team that we're co-hosting the retreat, we've been offering some webinars related to authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
And in one of them, I asked them the question like, what's the last time that you felt like the way you would like to feel always? And they went to look for that moment. And when we shared, it was all the moments were about connection. Connection with ourselves or with others, with family, with friends, with nature, with animals, all of them. Everyone that shared, it was about connection. What made me think, yeah, it's impossible to connect if you're not being authentic. And I think connection, well, it's not that I think, I have heard since years ago that we are hardwired for connection with human beings. And I think now neuroscience is giving all the information proving that. Yeah, there was in all the responses presence and connection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that makes sense, doesn't it? It's you can't have authenticity, presence, and connection without each other. They're like three good friends. They need each other to exist. Yeah. And one of the reasons why I love the Enneagram so much is because the Enneagram helps us to be more of our true self.
Yeah,
whatever type we are, it's always going to help us to be more of our true self. And normally that means learning to relax a bit more and learning to trust that we are beautifully made. Each and every one of us is beautifully made already. And that when we stop trying to be really impressive and just be authentic, it works a lot better for us, actually. Our fear is that it won't, but the truth is it will.
Yeah. Which take us to talk about your next book that is coming in 5 days, that it's Becoming Yourself, which is all about authenticity.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we're going to see it through the Enneagram, right? I'm not sure if everyone here knows about the Enneagram. So could you tell us about it?
Yes, absolutely. So my new book's called Becoming Yourself, a journey of self-discovery using the wisdom of the Enneagram. And the Enneagram is a model. And I'm actually even just going to spell the word. I'm just going to pop that into the chat because Enneagram is really, it's a Greek word. It's a compound word meaning model of 9 types. And the Enneagram is, I'm just going to also share this model for a moment. You're going to see an image come up on your screen in a moment of the Enneagram symbol. And this symbol is, the original symbol is old. It's over 2,000 years old. This image will appear in a moment. For some reason, I've noticed at the moment, Zoom has a little delay in sharing the picture, but you'll see it in a minute. And there we go. And so this is an image that's 2,000 years old. Its ancient origins are in Egypt and Greece. And there are 9 points on the Enneagram. So that's 9, Ennea, and then the symbol gram. And those 9 points are like 9 meditation seats where you can learn lessons. We can, all of us, learn lessons about how to be even more authentic in our life. And those 9 meditation seats are also the home base for 9 personality types. And if you do an Enneagram quiz like the one I created for my publishers, Hay House, you can learn what type you are. And the type you are isn't defining who you are. It's not defining your true self. It's just because your true self, your soul, is not typable. It's too lovely. It's too infinite. It's too wonderful to be typed. But what we are looking at is your path of growth in your life and what you might look for. So, for example, Rossana, at type 1, which is called the reformer, this type is sometimes called the perfectionist. And this is the person who wants to live a good life. They want to be a good person. As a child, they were the good child. Then they were the good person at school. Then they became a good friend and a good partner. And then they became a good husband and a good wife, and then they became a good parent, and they're just a good colleague and a good leader, and everything was about being good. And being good is a wonderful thing, except that being good can also be rather exhausting. And sometimes in an effort to be good, it actually takes us away from our authenticity. Yeah, because we end up in the role of a good person. I have to be good instead of actually being my genuine true self. And so, for example, at point 1 on the Enneagram, one way to be really authentic is to remember that you don't have to be perfect to be amazing. And I'll say it again. You don't have to be perfect to be amazing. Yeah. In fact, sometimes we get to be amazing because of the mistakes we make in our life, the mistakes that become lessons, the mistakes that open up our heart, the mistakes that help us to see things in a new way, the mistakes that help us to experience more love, more grace, more of the divine than ever before. So that gives you a flavor of like how you get to work with the Enneagram. And that was just point 1. You know, we get to do this 9 times with the Enneagram, and that's what I do when I'm leading my retreats as well. And when I'm doing my events, we spend like a whole session on each of these 9 points. And we learn ways to be more authentic and learn about what the teachings are at each of these points.
Yeah, and I think it's very important to know that it's not like a tag that you put on yourself and that it will limit you or give you excuses to say, oh, because I am a number 5. No, I think it's something that we can be confused with.
And you have to use it in a good way. That's true. You have to learn to use it in a good way. But that would be true of every system you ever learn. You know, there's a wise way to use it. And you're right, it can be a mistake just to say, oh, I'm only like this. That's why I'm like this. And yeah, the Enneagram is trying to help you to grow as a person. That's why I called the book Becoming Yourself, because it is ultimately about, you know, the journey of our life, I think, is to become more of our true selves. Yeah. And, you know, when we grow, I think that's what happens. We become more of our true self. When I first trained in psychology, most of the training was about helping people to change. And one of the reasons why we focused so much on change was because there was this sense that there's something maybe not right with us. There's something missing in us. We need to be fixed. And over time, I began to think, this doesn't feel right. I don't think there's anything missing in us. I think actually who we really are is okay, but we might not realize that. And so my work changed from trying to change people to helping people to grow. And I think there's a big difference between changing yourself and growing yourself. And that's what I wanted to do, Rossana. And I know you're the same in your work, and that's why you do the work that you do, and the way I know you do it so beautifully is, you know, we're dedicated to growing. And when we grow, we change. But we're growing from a place of wholeness in us. And for example, at type 1, at point 1 on the Enneagram, the teaching here is that you don't have to make yourself into a perfect person. Who you are, there's already something perfect about who you are. And all you have to do is relax and let that goodness express itself, and it will go really much better for you.
And it's more about stop doing some things that prevent you from being yourself more than doing things to be yourself. like working hard and to reach
Mm.
that, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, that's right. So what I do feel, and the central teaching in my book, Becoming Yourself, is if you think something is missing in your life, it is probably more of the real you. Yeah. If you think something is missing in your life, it is probably more of the real you. So, for example, at point one, rather than trying to be good all the time, why not just be more real and just relax a bit more and just be more authentic? Similarly, at two is called the helper. Now, the type 2 person is often always in the role of helping others. So they are always helping everybody else to become themselves. They're doing all of the work for everybody else, but sometimes they leave themselves out. And it's so important that when we are in a position of helping people, caring for people, giving to others, we must include ourselves too. And we must remember to make time to ask myself, what do I need? What does self-care look like for me? How can I be more authentic about what I need in a relationship? How can I make sure that I'm not just giving, but I'm also receiving, and I'm actually making it easier for people to love me? That's an example at 2. At 3, now that's my type. I'm a 3, and I worked in my life. I always worked so hard to be a successful person because I thought that if I was successful, I'd be loved more. Like if I would be loved for what I did, and that would make me more lovable if I did things for people and if I was successful at life. And in a way, I tried really, really hard to be um, a valuable person in the world and a successful person in the world. And I definitely achieved success, but it was hard for people to get close to me because I was always working so hard and I was always busy and I was always trying to make a good impression. And actually what I learned after a while is that people could get closer to me. I'd feel more of a connection with people when I wasn't trying to make such a good impression. It was actually when I was less impressive that people liked me more. It was often
It's
when I was having a hard day, when I admitted to people that things weren't going well, everyone put their arm around me and said, "Welcome to the club. Now you're one of us,"
it's definitely one of the things that I was drawn to you when I read or heard you share some vulnerable things that
Mm.
happened to you that worried you, that and not like um, the perfect
Yeah,
successful guy, but
yeah.
yeah,
I tried
this
to be that
you,
person. I did try to be
mm,
that person because I thought that's what people would want, and it was really hard work. It was such
could you
hard work.
share? Could you share the thing of the birthday present that you asked your parents when you were, I don't remember, 6 or 8 years
Yeah.
old?
Oh,
That's so
yeah.
funny.
Yeah, well, this shows you how, like, I think we all come into the world with a personality that has a way of looking at life. And for me, from an early age, I kept wondering, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? I'm meant to be doing something with my life. What is it? I was thinking like that at 3, 4, 5. And so, yeah, on the day or so before my birthday, no, it would have been a bit more, maybe like a week before my birthday, my mum and dad asked me what I wanted for my birthday, and I told them I wanted a briefcase. I wanted a leather briefcase, just like my grandpa had when he went to work. And I said it would be nice if I had a briefcase because I know I'm going to go to work one day and it's important to have a briefcase. So that's what I asked for. And so at a very young age, I'm already thinking about what am I going to do with my life. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thanks for the hearts. It's like, I know it's like, and it's sort of cute, but you can also feel like that was, I was also worried, like, what am I meant to do with my life? And what is success anyway? And Rossana, a big part of my work has been about authentic success. And it's been making sure that my definition of success belongs to me and it isn't a copy of somebody else's definition of success. It's got to be my definition, otherwise it won't really make me happy. And that's the point. We meet many people in life who are very successful, but they're not happy. And often it's because the success that they are aiming at is not their definition. It's more what they've learned they should be doing.
Yeah, I was in the Success Intelligent program with Robert 2 years ago, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And what I saw happening in all of us is just becoming ourselves. That was the thing about success. And I remember when the program finished, different people told me, you look lighter. You look like more spontaneous, like, like I was thinking, more myself. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think it would be great if you very quickly can give us an idea of the other points of the Enneagram.
Yes, let me give you a few more. We've got some time. So type 4 is called the individualist. Type 4 is the person that really, really wants to be unique. They want to be different. They want to be seen as one of a kind. And in a way, we do this because we want to be authentic. We don't want to get lost in the crowd. We want to be our true selves. Now, sometimes the challenge is that when we try really, really hard to be unique, I must be unique. I must be unique. I've got to be different to everybody else. Firstly, we end up quite lonely. It's hard for people to connect with us. We feel disconnected because we're so unique. We keep telling everybody we're too unique for you to connect with us. You don't understand us. You don't see me. At the same time, when we try really hard to be unique, often we end up becoming like a copy of something. We start to like we dress in a unique way, but then we dress in this unique way that other people dress up as well. So we become a club of unique people. So like we all become goth, we all dress in black and we all have, very black mascara and, but we all look the same and we're not unique. We're not feeling unique. The interesting thing on the journey of 4 is that when we stop trying to be unique and just try to be a bit more authentic, listen to our heart, listen to what our soul wants us to know. Interestingly, the more authentic we become, the more naturally unique we are. You don't have to try to be unique. You're already unique. You don't need to work at that. If you're just true to your heart, then you can become really unique naturally. So that's a good example of how to do that. 5 is called the investigator. Now,
That's me.
Is that right, Rossana? So the investigator, will
Yeah.
you tell us about the investigator? What does authenticity mean here?
Be more in touch with my heart and less with my head, I guess. Yeah.
One thing I know for sure is that the people at 5 have a way of seeing things that's really, really interesting. Everybody I know who has a 5 personality, they're called the investigator or the observer because they have this capacity to really see how life is. And they spend more time looking at things than the rest of us. So I often say, like, a type 5 will look inside a raspberry. A young type 5 would look inside a raspberry. They'd open up a raspberry and they'd look inside, and they would count the number of drupelets in a raspberry, and they would look inside that. Or they would look inside a flower, and they would really pay attention to the inside of that flower. Yeah. And I would say that part of being really authentic at 5 is sharing what you see.
Yes.
Sharing how you see the world.
And not keep it
Yeah.
to myself.
Yeah, that's right. Because sometimes it can be scary at 5 because at 5 you're thinking, am I the only one seeing this? Why is everyone not talking about this? Why is everyone so busy? Why is everybody not looking at this? And yet, as a 5, I want to look at things. And when I really pay attention, paying attention is a form of, when we pay attention to each other, that's how we love each other. When we pay attention to things, that's how we learn. When we, you won't know much about your own soul unless you pay attention to your soul. And similarly, you won't know much about your heart unless you pay attention to your heart. So I would say that the people at 5, one of their soul gifts is that they really pay attention. And often we feel very blessed to know 5s because they help us to pay attention to our life too. So that's an example of 5. 6, type 6 is called the loyalist. Now, 6s are called the loyalist because they are looking for something that they would like to commit to be loyal towards. They want something to believe in. They want something they can trust. They want friendships that won't let them down. They want work that will be really, really meaningful and that will be good. And somebody who was a 6 who I knew well was the teacher Louise Hay. And Louise Hay was a 6 on the Enneagram. She actually, I have the book on right here on my desk. When Louise passed away, I compiled, edited, and wrote the foreword for Trust Life, this book, which is a day book of Louise Hay affirmations, and also all of her affirmations and all of her lovely thoughts. And Louise Hay taught us to really, really listen to our inner wisdom and to really trust it. She called her inner wisdom, she called it her inner ding. When I listen to my inner ding, 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 that's when I know my guidance is speaking to me. And I think we can all relate to that. Sometimes, by the way, we call it the 6th sense. It's our 6th sense. And that's why it also is here at 6.6. If I may, I'll just read to you from Louise and give you the teaching, point 6. So just take a moment and see if you can really feel this in your heart. I open myself to the wisdom within me. I open myself to the wisdom within me. In the infinity of life where I am, all is perfect, whole, and complete. I believe in a power far greater than I am, that flows through me every moment of every day. I open myself to the wisdom within, knowing that there is only one intelligence in this universe. Out of this one intelligence comes all the answers, all the solutions, all the healings, all the new creations. I trust this power and intelligence, knowing that whatever I need to know is revealed to me, and that whatever I need comes to me in the right time, space, and sequence. All is well in my world. So that's point 6. Learning to really trust your inner voice. If we're going to be authentic, we must listen to our true voice. And more than that, we must learn to be true. We must learn to recognize our true voice. Point 7 is called the enthusiast. And point 7 is like the country of Brazil. It's full of enthusiasm. It's like, let's have a party, let's have fun, let's enjoy life. I remember
Elizabeth.
when I'm a big soccer fan, and I remember when Brazil won the bid to host the World Cup. And when Brazil won the bid to host the World Cup, it seemed like everybody in Brazil celebrated for 3 years and then realized they had to build some soccer stadiums to make sure that everybody could play some football. And the stadiums, it was like last minute, really last minute. Some of those soccer stadiums weren't ready with like days to go, and everyone was really worried they weren't going to have seats. So sevens have this fantastic enthusiasm, which we love. And thank goodness for that enthusiasm. But you've also got to be enthusiastic all the way through, not just at the start of things. You've got to do it for the whole journey. But actually, you know, one of the great teachings at 7 is the thing you are looking for is the thing that you have. And that's why that poem, Bring Love, is so important, because the teaching at 7 well, I was actually sharing this with somebody on a call yesterday. I was doing my own discovery call yesterday for my Becoming Yourself workshop, or my Becoming Yourself retreat in Phoenix later this month. And somebody asked me, how do you find love on the retreat? On the call, how do you find love? And I said, you know, the way you find love is not by looking for love. The way you find love is not by searching for love. The way you find love is by being the most loving person you can be. And the reason for that is because love attracts love. And that's the law of attraction. The law of attraction is that you attract not what you want, you attract what you are being. And if you are really being loving, you will attract love. So that's the teaching at 7. 8 is called the challenger. The challenger, maybe you can tell by the name, the challenger. All of these names, they tell you, they're not defining you. What they're doing is they're telling you about your life outlook and the way you approach life. And 8s want to take on the challenge of living. That's why they're called the challenger. They're looking for a challenge. They're often a big character. And they really, really want a challenge in life. In fact, if they haven't got a challenge, they can be like a big bear with a sore head, and they really need a challenge. They've got a lot of energy that they need to use. And they really have to use this energy carefully. The challenge for 8 is 8s want to be strong, but you will only be strong if you surrender to a higher power. And sometimes 8s try to be strong by being very independent and not surrendering to anything. They are not vulnerable at all. They put a big shield over their heart, and they don't believe in God. They are God. And so their work is to surrender to a power greater than your own ego. And that's how you become truly powerful. And that's the great work at 8, is to recognize that. And that's when you start to think about also what, rather than just my success, how can I think about everybody's success? And then you become a great leader when you think like that. Point 9 is called the peacemaker. The peacemaker is that person who values inner peace more than anything, actually. And they value inner peace because they know that nothing really can give you inner peace other than yourself. And also, without peace, everything else in the world doesn't really matter very much. It's your inner peace, which is your connection to your authentic self, your inner peace that's your connection with God, that matters the most. So when you have that, it really, really helps you be happy. Now, the challenge is that it's hard to have inner peace when you watch the news headlines. It's hard to have inner peace when the world is in conflict, when there are so many wars in the world. And so sometimes at 9, we say, well, I will have my inner peace, but I will do it by turning away from the world, withdrawing from the world, not being close to the world. And now we live on cloud 9 instead of being in the world. Now we are in our comfort zone. But our comfort zone, if we really pay attention, although it seems to keep us comfortable, the comfort zone is really a house of fear. We're afraid. We're afraid to come out of our comfort zone. And when we stay in our comfort zone for too long, it's not really that we're peaceful, it's more that we just are dull. We're not so alive. And what we learn at 9 is that in order to experience inner peace, we can't keep it to ourselves. We must share that peace with others. And that means having relationships. That means sometimes having conflicts, sometimes having arguments. But along the way, we know that that inner peace can actually help us when we have conflicts. It can, if we really tune into it, it can help us repair difficulties. Type 9, peacemakers, the natural peacemakers are often very, very good at healing conflict. They make great healers. They're great body workers. They're great mediators. They are brilliant at bringing more peace into the world. But the work here is to participate in the world. And that's when we come back to, if you think something is missing in your life, it is probably more of the real you. In other words, you have to be present. And Rossana, that's what you said, like, right, again, right at the beginning, we want connection, but we also want presence. So we need our peacemakers to be present.
I have like many points at number 9. And I've noticed that for a long, long, long time, I was always avoiding conflict.
Yeah.
And it made me very inauthentic because I was like hiding and I prefer to stop talking to someone or stop being in somewhere just to avoid the conflict.
Yeah.
And it's something that I'm learning lately, just to speak whatever I have to speak, even if it appears not to be very comfortable for me, but it's much better than avoiding it always. Yeah.
Sometimes in life, we realize there's something even more important than being comfortable. And that's, again, when our authentic voice speaks up. And our authentic voice says, yeah, I know you do want to be comfortable, but there's something more important than that in this situation. Now, that said, I also think when we're really authentic, that brings a certain peace as well. So yeah, it's a challenge for all of us. And the Enneagram is encouraging us to become ourselves. So it's saying that maybe in the morning of our life, we did find these things difficult. But as we grow, as we mature, we get better at it, especially when we do our inner work, especially when we connect more with the God that loves us, not the scary man in the sky, but the real God, the God that created us, the God that loves us very, very much. And when we connect with that loving God that loves us very much, and we connect with our heart and our soul, and we remember who we really are, then I think the things we found hard in the morning of our life do become easier in the afternoon of our life. And that's the work of the Enneagram, is encouraging us to keep growing and to trust that we have got everything it takes to become the person we would most like to be.
Yeah. And I would insist in not confusing it with fixing ourselves.
That's right. Yeah, it's growing.
Yeah.
It's a growth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Robert, would you have time, like some minutes, just if someone wants to comment or ask you a question?
I've got to the top of the hour. So if
8
anyone,
minutes?
yes, please.
Okay, we have Leslie.
Hi, Leslie.
Hi, Robert.
Nice
it's lovely
to see
you.
Oh, lovely to see you too.
I'm curious, have you come across people who have been masking in their lives, as in neurodivergent, and therefore hiding their difference for years, doing the Enneagram and then doing it once they're unmasked and getting a different number?
It's a really good question. And yes, it's true. It can happen. It can happen for lots of different reasons. Sometimes it happens. Well, the reason for it mostly, of course, is we want to feel safe. We want to feel loved. We want to feel like we belong. And depending on the culture we have been raised in, and we could call that a family culture, but also a society culture, maybe in some of those cultures, they have a preference for some of the numbers more than others. And so they would say, for example, type 3. For some people, the culture is very type 3. You go into the workplace, the place you work is very 3. It's all about goals, being busy, working late, having no feelings, getting the job done, and so you take on the role and you say, right, I'm going to be a 3, but you're not. It's just it's like you said, it's the mask you wear to get the job done. Yeah. And it's often only when you leave that you become aware, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Or another example, Leslie, I can think of, I remember somebody who was a 9 on the Enneagram, who had been married twice and divorced twice. But they said that both times they realized they ended up dressing like their partner. And this is why I remember, even writing like their partner. Their handwriting started to become more like their partners. They took on the same likes. If they liked their steak rare, then I'll have my steak rare as well. Yeah. If they drank red wine instead of white wine, I'll drink red wine. It was like they started to merge just to go, the sense of to go along, to get along. Yeah. So yes, it's a great question, and your question's so good it deserves a much better answer than this, but it gives you a little flavor perhaps of the question. And ultimately the work is of course making sure that we are faithful to ourselves. And I think that's one of the big teachings of the Enneagram, is learning to be faithful to ourselves. and being faithful to our journey. Yeah. Thank you, Leslie. Nice to see you. Yeah.
Robert, is there any plan for having your book in Spanish? Because there are so many Spanish-speaking people here that may be interested. And
well,
unfortunately, we have very few of your books in Spanish.
Yeah, well, I know, and my publishers are Hay House, who I know will do Spanish editions. So I would love for that to happen. And I know that we have an Enneagram test that a quiz that we want to put into Spanish. So I think I would love for that to happen. And I think I maybe need some help with that. If I can ask my publishers about it, but if anybody knew how to make the quiz into Spanish or to do the book, I would love to know. And I'd be really I would present that to the publishers, because I know also how much Louise Hay loved it when her books were in Spanish. And I know that my book Life Loves You, which I co-wrote with Louise, that's in Spanish, I know. So yes, please, we'd love to do this. It'd be fantastic. It'd be a dream come true. That would be creating the impossible for me, Rossana. So if anybody knows how to do
let's
that,
the second part.
Yeah, if someone knows how to do that or could help with that, I can then present that to Hay House, and we would hopefully make that happen.
Okay, we have a project then.
We do. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. This has been really lovely.
Well, yes, Javier. Javier is asking if is there an early bird to buy the book, and yes, it's now, right?
Yes. In fact, the best thing is the book is available on a pre-order now. But also you can, next Thursday, there is a free 2-hour summit with guest speakers that you could sign up for, and it's free, and that's the launch of the book. And don't worry if you can't. I've just put the link into the chat. If you just sign up, you will get the replay as well. But it's 2 hours, and I will talk about the summit, and I'll talk about my book, but I also have guests. One of my guests is Caroline Mace, the teacher Caroline Mace, who, in fact, I've taught the Enneagram with her. Also, a very good friend of mine, Liz Truebridge, who is the producer of the Downton Abbey series and the Downton Abbey films. She loves the Enneagram. Also, Russ Hudson, who I think is one of the most loved Enneagram teachers in the world. Also, my wife, Holly, and my daughter, Bo, is going to speak as well. So it's going to be quite a fun family and friends thing, but it would be a really lovely way to learn about the Enneagram, and it's free. And you can also learn how to order the book and everything then as well. So that's a good idea.
Well, thank you very much. The time went very fast, but it was a treat for all of us. And thank you for everything that you share, Robert. And I'm sure that you will have more Spanish-speaking people following you, and let's do the thing to have your books in Spanish.
Amazing. Could I finish with one more poem?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought this would be a nice one, because this one isn't in the book. And it's called Being Faithful to Your Journey. Being faithful to your journey. So it goes like this. Your task is simply this: to be faithful to your own journey. Place your trust in a God who loves you very much. Believe that you have everything you need in your spiritual backpack. Know that this place where you are, even if it is dark and terrible, is part of the journey. There are treasures here under your feet, and the next sign is always right in front of you. Fear would be impossible if you knew who walked beside you. Friends do appear as if by magic when you follow your inner guidance. And the golden thread which will always pull you in the direction you are meant to be heading. Be faithful to your own journey then, for it is time now to take the next step.
Beautiful. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. That's a new one, so it's up to date. Thank you, everybody. Rossana, thank you so much for inviting me to be with you, to be with this lovely group of people. Thank you so much. I'm very grateful to have been with you all, and it was really, really lovely. Thank you. And I will get to work on a Spanish edition of the book and of the quiz. I think it's a great idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Now everybody
that
knows why I like him. Yeah.
I just was hearing that the link wasn't right. Is that right? Is it not working? I'm going to try it again. And if for any reason that doesn't work, can I send it to you, Rossana, and then you can send it to everybody?
Yeah, sure. Yes.
There is a 3-day retreat as well, but that's in Phoenix in March. I'll send a link to you, Rossana. How about that? And then would it be okay to send that? Amazing, yes, to everybody.
To everybody that attended, I can send it. Yeah.
All right. Amazing. Thank you, everybody.
Well,
lots of
thank
love. It's
you.
been amazing. I really enjoyed this. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, Azul, for the translation.
Azul, thank you so much. Thank you. Lots of love.
Well, thank you, everyone.